Good day, I'm Rainiel A. Sarmiento from 3CRI-A1-11. In today's topic is all about tool marks. Okay, I'm going to discuss the tool marks. Okay, let's start. First, lesson objectives. Explain the characteristic of tool marks. Identify the different types of tool marks. Okay, next slide. Second slide is describe tools and tool marks and characteristic of tool marks. Tools, a device or implement, especially one held in the hand, used to carry out a particular function. It can be used in the commission of crimes. They can aid criminal in gaining entry or damaging property. When the tools are used, they can leave behind marks on the surface they contact. Law enforcement agency will submit tools and items bearing tool marks to the BCA. Examiners in the firearms and tool marks section can help solve crime by linking a tool mark to a particular tool. Tool mark is defined as the impression left by the contact of tool onto a surface. For example, when a burglar uses a pry bar to force entry into a house, the marks left by the tool on the door frame are direct evidence of the presence of that tool for that particular use at the crime scene. Tool marks are encountered most frequently in burglary cases but may also be found in other types of crimes. Photography is the best way to document tools and tool marks evidence. Photograph should include a ruler for size of reference. Whenever possible, submit the whole object containing tool marks to the laboratory instead of just removing the areas containing the mark. When there is no tool left at the scene of the crime, a cast can be made of marks left behind from the tool. Okay, characteristic of tool marks. Tool marks bear two kinds of characteristic. Class and individual. The class characteristic of a tool mark include the type of impression, its general shape, and its general dimension. Class characteristic typically allow the examiner to determine what type of tool created the expression and how the mark was created. Conversely, they do not permit for the identification of the exact tool that created the impression. This means that if only class characteristics are available on a tool mark, it will not be possible to distinguish which tool among a series of similar tools made the impression. Individual characteristic, also called accidental characteristic, are the striation and small particularities exhibited by the tool that are individual to one unique tool. They consist of small, commonly microscopic identification ridge and irregularities present on the tool itself. For example, the tip of a screwdriver is never perfectly flat but shows small ridge along its edge. These are created by the history of the tool, such as its misuse, its cleaning, and its maintain. These characteristics are the only one that permit formal identification. Third slide is all about type of tool marks. There are basically two types of mark left by the tools on surface with which they have come in contact. The first type is on impression left on the windows or doors that have been forced open or punch impression on safes. Occasionally, by the comparison of such impression with the suspected tool, it is the possible to reach a definite conclusion as to whether or not this particular tool left the mark. More frequently, particular when the impression is inward, it is only possible to show that the mark was made by the tool having the same class characteristic as the question 1. The second type is abrasion or friction mark left by the sliding or cutting action of the tool, which produce striated areas on the marked surface. Occasionally, impression made by the tools with striated surface may resemble in appearance abrasion or friction marks. Example of true abrasion mark are most bolt cutter marks on rods or wires, screwdriver escape marks, and knife or axe cut marks. By the examination of such abrasion or cuts, it is usually possible to determine definitely whether or not a suspected tool was used, providing no alternation have cues on the surface of the tool involved or the evidence mark, since that the latter would maiden. The fourth slide is there are three major categories of tool marks. First is indentation marks, second is abrasion marks, third is cutting marks. First, indentation marks or impression made by a tool when pressed against a softer surface. Example, crowbar, screwdriver, chisel, and hammer. Second, abrasion mark made when a surface slide across one another, the harder surface leaves scratch mark on the super surface. Example, pliers, knives, axe, or gun barrels. The third is cutting marks produce along edge as a surface is cut. Example, saws, wire cutters, bolt cutters. Slide 5 is describe the steps on collection examination of tool marks and how tool marks help in criminal investigation. The examination of tool marks is conducted in different phases. First, the tool mark is observed, measured, and phases. Second, a photograph perpendicular to the tool mark is taken. This provide a permanent record of the class and some individual characteristic of the tool marks. Then, if the support onto which the tool mark is located cannot be collected as evidence, a cast of the tool mark is made. This cast is usually made with polymeric dental paste. When a tool is discovered and its class characteristic match the ones exhibited by the tool mark, the comparison process is started. Usually the tool is observed and photographed, then comparison tool marks are made with the tool on a soap material so that the extra mark are not created on the tool. A comparison microscope is used to perform the comparison process. The incriminated tool mark is placed on the left side on the microscope and the comparison mark on the right side. If a match exists between the individual characteristic, the common origin between the incriminated tool mark and the tool is established. Tool marks analysis help forensic scientists identify the tool or tools used at the on the scene of the crime and link the tools to the criminal. Investigator compare marks by examining detailed photos or silicone cast of the marks and collect trace evidence such as residue left behind by the tool. Okay, that is it. This is the end of my video presentation, and see you to my next video. God bless.